is GalacticGod, and I'm coming at you today with a video to talk about mind games in Yu-Gi-Oh! Now, the other day I was up on Facebook talking to some of my subscribers, and one of them mentioned to me that he doesn't really think that there's much of a difference anymore from playing up on DevPro or DN or something like that, as opposed to playing in real life against an actual human being. Now, I kind of thought about it for a second, and I was like, I really don't think that that's true, and one of the main reasons is because of the mind games that occur when two people are actually dueling across from each other. I kind of like to call it, Hollywooding it up, because whether we realize it or not, body language and confidence plays a big part in real life duels, and a lot of players have come to this realization, and when they're dueling against an opponent, a lot of times if their hand is not as optimal as they would like, they will use that body language and confidence to manipulate their opponent into believing that they're in a better position than what they actually are. This works with both duelists that you play against on a regular basis and those that you don't. So, if you're going to locals or just playing with friends, odds are you know the people that you're dueling against very well. You know what kind of moves really tick them off, what kind of decks they hate to duel against, and you can kind of use this to your advantage. So, if you're playing against someone who really hates the grind games and hates dueling through all that back row that some duelists like to set, whether or not you're playing a deck that uses a lot of spells and traps, you can go ahead and bluff your opponent out by just setting a lot of cards in your back row. Immediately, that's going to put them a little bit on edge. And then if you're really confident, you're like, oh, don't worry, they're all bluffs. Of course they're not going to really believe that, especially if you have one good card back there and you're able to counter the first move that they make on their turn. They're going to really be a little bit more on edge than they would like. So obviously this doesn't work quite as well against people that you don't normally duel against. So if you're going to some kind of big event like a regional or an ARG or a YCS, the person that you get paired up against will most likely not be someone that you usually interact with. So what I've heard another YouTuber, DZEFF, talk about was that sometimes when he sits down at a big tournament, for the first time against an opponent, he'll tell them, oh, I hope you like playing against Chainburn, and immediately that puts someone really on edge, because most duelists really hate dueling against any kind of a troll deck like Burn or Exodia or something of that nature, because it's not exactly the same as dueling against a meta or even a rogue deck. You got to completely change your playstyle. So now your opponent has to decide whether or not they're going to base their first move around the deck that you told them they're dueling against, or whether they're going to play their deck the way they would normally set it up. And it kind of really puts them at a huge disadvantage. So I believe mind games, whether they be intentional or not, do play a big part in real life duels in Yu-Gi-Oh! But in the comment section below, let me know your guys' thoughts on the subject. Do you think it's important for a duelist to be able to perform mind games in order to be successful in this game? Or do you think it's really not all that important? And I guess that's it for now. This is GalacticGod, out.